We're going to begin by navigating to the assignment in Schoology. If you open up the assignment in Schoology, you can see three SKP files. The first one is going to be selections. We're going to open that up down here in the downloads. I'm going to go to SketchUp and go to Home and select Open. Go to My Computer. And I'm going to find that that particular file, which is the selections one, and open that up. Okay. We're going to save this as selections practice. Okay. This entire exercise is going to be learning how to use the selection tool, which is just essentially the black mouse arrow. You can triple click on something. We can select one piece, one face. We can draw a bounding box around something and select things that way. Or you can triple click to select all connected geometry. Now, if I scoot over to the right here, there's a section of sidewalk over here that is not selected when I triple click. I can triple click on this piece that will select that side, on this piece, and that will select that side. And that means that these two geometries are not connected. If, however, I go to the line tool, I tap L and draw a line from the midpoint of this one to the midpoint of this one. Now the geometries, and then I go back to spacebar, which will go back to the selection tool. Now the geometries are connected. So if I triple click on this side, both sides get selected. And that's because we've created a tiny little bridge here. So if you ever wonder why things are being selected when you're triple clicking, it's because they're connected. This is going to be your first snip. I'm not going to show any of the insertion of the name tag, but I will show you kind of the shots I want to get. So now that I've placed my signature, I'm going to triple click on this so that everything is highlighted, proving that my geometries are connected. And I'm going to take a screenshot of this. That's going to be your first one. Our second screenshot, we're going to make sure that this the scenes button is highlighted so we can see all these different things. We're going to go to this, we want to go to side view of this geometry. For this particular one, I'd like you guys to put your signature on the side of this. If you are using the cut and paste with the signature, or the copy and paste, you'll find that when you go to paste on the side of something else, if you've been pasting on the ground, it won't work. So you may have to redo the whole process here. Okay, with that pasted there, I'm going to zoom in a little bit and play with the selections button, trying to get some kind of grouping here. So if you drag from the upper left corner and then go to the lower right corner, you see we can drag a box around this and it will only select the geometries that we have gotten completely inside that box. So I'll do that again. Even though I'm doing all these different pieces, it will only highlight things that are completely bounded inside this box. If, however, you do a box from the upper right to the lower left, which feels very, very strange, if I go from this direction over to this direction, you see it's about the same size. It will highlight so much more because it actually does the geometry that's connected even if it's outside of the box. So if you want a more precise selection, like let's say that I just wanted to select these upper roof things, I do a small box from left to right, and I can just get those roof guys, even though I've touched a lot of other things. If I want everything, I can do that same box from right to left. You can see the same small box, but it selects everything because even if it was just a little bit inside that box, it will highlight the entire piece. Okay, so I'd like you guys to draw a couple of rectangles on the left here. And one kind of cool thing with the rectangle tool, do you see how my rectangle that I drew there is actually facing up? I can go undo. You see how there's a red rectangle right there? I kind of want it on the blue plane, which is the flat floor plane. I can use arrow keys and toggle back and forth between the different planes. So I want it on the blue one because I want it on the ground. So let me draw one. Again, I toggle maybe 2, another one here. Okay, like that. And then with this, I'm going to use the push-pull tool, select this, pull it up, select this one, pull it up, select this one, pull it up. Okay, so I have these kind of boxes that are floating in space out here. Now, you can use the selection tool with control to select certain things and not others. So let's say that I wanted to get this box over here, but not the box on the bottom. And then also this box and parts of this. So what I can do is I can triple click this. I can hold down Control, triple click this guy, and then I can do, while I'm still holding down the Control button, I can do that right bounding box here. And you can see that I've selected 1, 2, and then all of these pieces over here. But I have not selected this box in front. So I'd like you guys to kind of practice with that. And when you're done, we're going to take our second snip. Okay. That's going to be your second snip. At this point, hit save. And then we're going to open up the grouping 1. Let's see. We're going to go open, and actually we'll go from home, and we'll go back to our Schoology page, go grouping 1, SKP, and then we're going to go back to SketchUp and go open from my computer, and I'm going to go to downloads. And this is going to be grouping 1. Open that up. And I'm going to go save as and save it as grouping 1 practice, just in case something happens. Okay. This is going to be an exercise in what's called sticky geometry. So sticky geometry is a feature on SketchUp. So if I triple click on this, this plane right here, and that gets all the connected geometry. So it gets the surface and it gets the edges. And then I type M, which goes to the move tool, and I start on the edge. You have to start on the edge, otherwise it's not going to work. And we pull over to the left here and kind of mate it with this other one. You'll see that if I go to move away from this, it's going to pull on it and it's going to push on it because it has actually welded the two surfaces together. So this is called sticky geometry. At this point, I'd like you to throw in your signature again. I still have mine saved there. And I'm going to go snipping tool. That's going to be my third snip. Now we're going to move, I'm going to go back to the selection tool, not the move tool. I'm going to go back to this table over here. Now if I click on this, if I triple click on it, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, I can do this, oops, sorry. You can see that it's hitting the floor as well because this is all connected geometry. If I drag a bounding box left to right, I will just get the table. Remember, if I go from right to left, it's going to get a larger selection. You can see that dotted box, that will actually select everything that's connected. So we're going to go left to right again. I'm going to go to the Move tool, type M, and I'm going to pull this on the edge over to the edge of the wall. You can see how it selects on face. Now I can do the same thing here, where now my table is actually selected, or it's stuck to the wall. So this will allow for some things that we don't maybe want to happen. Maybe we don't want the table to meld with the walls, because now it's part of it. You can actually play with this a little bit. So I just did Control Z to undo that. So we can select this. Remember, I'm going to drag a box around that. Select this. Go move. I can actually move this edge and mate it with the wall right here. And then I can take this edge here and mate it with this wall till it says on face. And then I can grab the edge of this and pull it out, and it will stretch the wall all over the place and totally distort the geometry, which is kind of fun. This isn't desirable if we're trying to build a house, but this is something that can happen. So I want you guys to place your signature on this, just to prove to me that you've done it. And take our screenshot of this. Okay, that's your next one. Now instead of this though, let's delete. I'm gonna keep my signature because I don't want to get rid of it. I'm gonna right click, cut that out. I'm gonna go undo, just Control Z until it's back to normal. Now what I'm gonna do is right click on this, actually triple click, excuse me. We're gonna drag the bounding box to select everything. Right click and go make group instead. Once this is made a group, we can move this around and it will not stick geometry. You can actually just push it right through the wall instead of sticking it to it. You can place it on the edge, but it won't like weld to it anymore. It's become like an item of furniture. This is more desirable for the things that we're doing. I'm going to put back my signature. I'm going to put back my signature and I'm going to click on this so I get that bounding box. That's an immediate indication to me that you have created this and made it a group. So this is going to be your next snip and the last one of this particular file. The last file we're going to open, so we're at 5 snips so far. The last file we're going to open, we're going to go back to the Schoology page and we're going to click on the grouping 2, download that file. I'm going to go back into SketchUp, make sure that this is saved. I'm going to go back to home and go open from my computer and go from the downloads again. And we're going to go grouping 2. And you can see this little play structure that they've created. Okay, we're going to go save as and save it as grouping 2 practice. Just in case. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to look at is just this playground structure that they have created. And this is actually made up of a bunch of groups. So remember, groups are one-offs. If we don't want to replicate it, so like this slide, there's only one of them, we're going to make that a group. The stairs are a group. This railing is a group. They all have an individual bounding box around them. So if I turn this like this, and you can see even the platform is its own group. So in order to edit a group, you have to double click on the group, and you can see that everything else grays out, and then you can actually start editing that geometry. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to pull this side out, kind of like make it a longer platform. And then I'm going to go back to my selection, which is always tapping spacebar, double click, and you can see it closes that edit. The stairs are what's referred to as a nested group, because it is actually groups within groups. So we have the stairs themselves, which are individual groups. You can see that they are individual groups within a larger group. So when I double click, and if I want to edit one of the individual stairs, I have to go in, double click again, and you can see that everything gets grayed out, and then I can edit the individual stair. So that's another helpful thing. So I'm just going to like raise that stair up to that place. This is just arbitrary stuff. I'm just doing it so I can see it. I'd like you guys to put your signature down, and this is going to be snip number 6. Okay. All right. Now, nested groups. These poles. Let's make a nested group. Okay. So you can see that we have these components of the poles. Okay, and we have the component of the platform. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our selection tools, and we're going to click on this. We're going to hold down Control and continue selecting things so that we have selected multiple entities. We're going to right click on this and go Make Group, and that creates one large group out of a bunch of smaller groups. Now what I'm going to do is actually hold down Control again and select Move Tool. Okay, sorry, one more time. Move Tool, down Control, and as I move, it will create a copy of that over here. So we have our own nested group. On that side. Let's swing this in. I'm going to actually click on this, double click on this piece, and I'm going to push this single platform back in to kind of like fix the geometry here, make it look more normal. Double click, and I'm going to place my signature here. Okay, this is going to be signature number 7. Or snip number 7, excuse me. All right. Make sure to be saving often in this. The SketchUp for Web works better if things are saved kind of quickly. Okay, so we have these two random shapes over here, and you see that one is oriented to the axes, the red, green, and blue axes, and one that is rotated. So if I click on this, let's do a pull on this face, and I'm going to pull it up a little bit. I'm going to pull this one up and reference it. Whoops. I'm going to reference it to this one and kind of drag around like this. And then what I'm going to do, select it, I'm going to make it a group. So click, right click, make a group. You can see that the bounding box is actually oriented to the red, green, and blue axis as well. Now you would think that this piece, that the bounding boxes will be turned, but if the piece is already rotated and you make a group, the bounding boxes will still be oriented to the red, green, and blue axis. And this can make things a little dicey if you are if you're moving or rotating things. One kind of cool thing with the Move tool is that when you're moving a group, you get these like little red handles, and you don't have to toggle back and forth between the Rotate tool and the so we get these little red handles here, and I can rotate things without jumping back and forth to the Rotate tool, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to rotate this just to show that I can do it. I'm going to save this, select both pieces so that their bounding boxes are showing. So remember, Control, do multiple select. I'm going to paste my, my signature in between them. And this is right here. Whoops, getting ahead of myself here. Again, selection tool, Control. So I have the bounding boxes around these two things, and then I'm going to take that snip. That's snip 8. Finally, we're going to jump back to the playground. And I'm going to show you guys that the difference between components and groups. So remember, groups are one-offs. They're just a single unique entity. Components are things that have been copied. So when you go in to edit a particular, all of these posts here are actually components, meaning that their geometries are linked to each other. So when I edit one, I edit all of them. So if I go in here and I go in to edit this particular component, and that's a lot of like clicking inside the nested group, clicking inside that particular group, and then clicking again, I can highlight a piece of it. So this is the upper piece. You see it highlights all of them. And then let's say I use the move tool and I grab this post and I drag it up. You can see that all of them get dragged up. Now, if I select outside of that and I go in and I double click and I go for this geometry and I just grab this little cuff, I can grab the move tool again and I can move it down, and all of them get moved down. So that's just something to keep in mind, the difference between components, which are multiples, and groups, which are singles. I'm going to click out of that, zoom out a little bit, and take my final screenshot with these posts kind of extended up. And that right there is screenshot number 9.